Numbers day in, day out.
Need these expense reports by 5, Casey.
Yeah, I'll get them done. Man, this is it, huh? Click, copy, repeat. 35 years old. First time in my life I got a boss breathing down my neck. Feels like I'm dangling on someone else's clock.
So in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 ways having a job will change your life. My name is Casey versus the internet. I have been a digital marketer for 16 years. I got my first job at 35 years old. So I feel like I can talk about this topic in a way that's a lot different than most people. Let's get into it. Number 1, steady paycheck. Now, we all know having a steady paycheck is a critical thing, but it can really throw you off course in a drastic way. Most people don't even think about it because when you have the steady paycheck, money's going to come in consistently. There's certain things you don't have to think about. And at the same time, that money is going to stabilize your life. But what people don't think about is that you get hooked to the money. You get addicted to the money. It will build that ground floor that you need to launch your other ideas. But most of the time, if you apply yourself to this job that you want to maintain, you're going to find yourself mentally, physically, and financially strained from whatever you got going on to play a role in that process. Having that ground floor in your finances, great thing, but it can throw you off from your path because just like Kevin O'Leary said,
I always tell my entrepreneurs, a salary is the drug they give you when they want you to forget about your dreams. Because it's very easy to stay in that world where somebody is mitigating your risk. You just have to perform certain tasks, do them well for a third of your day, and they will feed you a salary. And you don't have to think about anything else. And that, for a lot of people, works. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's very noble.
The paycheck is the catalyst to keep you hooked. So you never want to leave that job. You never want to lose that paycheck. And in the world that we're currently living in now, where everything is going to be dominated and ran by AI, it's a crazy way to think. Number 2, trading your time for money. When you work for yourself, you'll put 100 hours in a week and you won't even probably feel it. In most cases, most people feel like they're a firefighter. They're nonstop. They're working on what they're working on every single day, no matter what's going on outside. But when you're working for somebody else and you're giving those 40 plus hours a week, you find yourself trading time for money. Now, don't get me wrong, but when you work for yourself, most people think that, oh, it's going to be a sweet process. Oh, I'm just going to make money. I'm going to lock in some deals and it's going to be easy off bat. That's not the case. You have to figure out the cadence of how you make money. You need to go out there and build that ground floor, like I said in part 1. But the most important thing about that is that when you're working for yourself, you're going to work twice as much. You're going to apply yourself twice as much because the rent due, you got bills, maybe you got kids, maybe you got investments, maybe you got debt, maybe you got overhead. There's so many different things involved with that just sitting by being idle is not the place to be. You need to be out generating, networking, meeting people, making deals, putting things in motion. So that's the thing about it. It doesn't get easier, but if you build your systems right, it does get more flexible in your process. Having that extra time to put in on other people's projects, other people's businesses will put you in a position so you can run your own. Just at the end of the day, the pressure's on. It doesn't change in the sense that you're not going to work. It just changed in the sense of what you do matters a lot more. Most people go to people's jobs and don't give a full effort. But when you're working for yourself, you have to give 100% at all times. Number 3, most people just don't have the bandwidth after work to go and pursue other things.
Welcome aboard, Casey. We're glad to have you on the team.
Thank you. First job ever, and I'm ready to work. Funny, a year ago, I was running my own trucking outfit. Now I'm stacking burgers.
Heyday, big guy. Here's your envelope.
Appreciate it. Whoa, 584? And that's just 1 week? I used to call the shots whatever.
That's the point. These jobs want you so hooked that you don't feel motivated to go out and build for yourself. They want you to have enough brain power to get up and show up for them as opposed to getting up and showing for yourself. Because I found myself in a lot of situations where I'll be working for other people, but I'm thinking about my business. So I'm pushing things forward with my business because I know at any given time, if I lose this job, I can still fall back on my skill set. I can still fall back on my business and still be able to replace my income, that ground floor we talked about, and keep things moving. But a lot of times these jobs, they won't even hire you if you already have things in motion, if you already have your businesses. If y'all seen in that one post that I put up when I was talking about getting my first job at 35 years old, these businesses didn't even want to work with me simply because I had motion. I had things in process for myself and they didn't like that. They wanted me to be more so dependent on them as opposed to me being dependent on myself and building using their platform and doing what I need to do for them. They wanted to become my master. That's what they want. They want you to feel like this is the only way you can make money. this is going to provide the stability that you need or some kind of cash flow that you need. And once they're done with you, they discard you, they throw you away. That's why you got to always be thinking for yourself. And as someone that has been a solopreneur, well, I've been an all around entrepreneur. I've had teams, 20 people working for me at give and takes at different times. But overall, being that person that can solve your own problems, fix your own shit, and get your own money made and generated is a critical thing. By the way, I'm getting ready to launch my own school. So if you're interested in anything like that, make sure you drop me a message and let me know you're interested in joining my school. Again, my background is digital marketing. I work with 8 and 9 figure businesses, helping them grow their traffic online. And I'm really not looking to sell anything to anybody. I'm more so opening up the school for free. So if you're interested, drop me a DM. I'll send you a link. Family stability is critical. Now, when I was out here working for myself, building my own business, not really having to think about nobody else except for myself, and eventually I had one other child. And when I had to work on that and be a parent and things like that, I found that it pulled me away from my passion, which was growing my business. But once I put that stability in place so I could have that backup, that person that can hold me down while I go out and go and conquer within my business, because at the end of the day, we really are building these businesses for our legacy, for our kids, right? Understanding that the family aspect, I found that I wasn't able to invest like I wanted to. I wasn't able to take the type of risks that I need to take because I got to make sure home is good. And right now, I just had my second child. Definitely can't take the certain type of risk like I used to. So everything has to be more calculated as opposed to just jumping out and betting the house and assuming that everything is going to fall in place, when all actuality, you can't really do those things when you got kids in place because their stability is more important than your own. Number 5, negotiation. I got to tell you, I had the luxury one time to negotiate with a gentleman by the name of Armstrong Williams, net worth $200 million. I was working with him on the project. When I worked with this gentleman, I realized at that point, I didn't know shit about negotiation. This dude in negotiation skills was so far advanced. I'd never forget. I was riding down the street. A buddy of mine was working in DC, working with him. He's like a political figure. And I got a random call. My buddy, now, little caveat, my buddy had told me that 2 years in advance, hey, you should work with Armstrong. It'll be a good connection for you. I'm going to bridge the gap, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing ever materialized. So I'm riding down the street. I get a random call. Is this Casey? I'm like, yeah, it's Armstrong. Are you able to take this call? I'm like, yeah, cool. So I pull in over to a bank. I stop and I'm like, how can I help? It's like, hey, I heard that you are the man when it comes to digital marketing. You are very good at doing things on the internet. And I would really like to work with you on this project. I'm going to send you an email. Bam, I get the email. I read the email. Everything's just popping at this moment. Like, I'm doing all this in real time. So I stop what I'm doing. I'm opening up the phone and he immediately started jumping into numbers, like not knowing that I'm talking to somebody that is a master negotiator. And I'm just up and coming freelancer, getting my name out there type of guy, building my resume, building my portfolio. But this guy has negotiated with CNN, Washington Post, all the big companies, Fox News. He's like the largest owner of TV and radio networks as an African-American. Like, guy has negotiated with media conglomerates. And I'm on my way to probably go do something dumb. Go drink with my buddies at the bar. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's a real deal. So I realized in that point right there, the way he approached the whole negotiation, the way he was tactical in his decision making, where he wouldn't budge, but he would give a mile on certain things. And I seen it as an opportunity for me to be able to meet other people. And it ultimately led me to work with other people. He looked out, he gave my name to a governor and people like that is able to help. But during that process, I realized that I needed to step my negotiation game up, because there are people out here that have been in this game longer than you. You need to understand the details about your industry a lot better. I realized at that point, I drastically undersold myself, say the least. The little caveat to that, I would say that I was thinking 5 figures, while other people were charging this man 7 figures. To say, just give you a little context to what I experienced in this negotiation. Did I lose out? Yes, drastically. By hundreds of thousands of dollars, I lost out. But the lesson in that was that these are areas that myself that I need to tighten up on. Because if you're just having failures and you're not learning from your failures, you're doing yourself a terrible disservice. You got to be able to be in the mindset of you're a sponge. And with everybody about to get ready to be laid off in this new economy and all this stuff changing, jobs are laying people off. They're bringing in automation. The automation isn't working right. People don't want to be on the phones, but they're going to send you to this AI. In this new world, you have to figure out, where do you stand in this economy? You have to figure out how are you going to be the best version of yourself, business-wise, parent-wise, financially, everything in between. And you have to make better decisions. So part of that made me realize, and it woke me up in a way that I never even knew. And I realized my negotiation skills are not where they need to be. I'm drastically underselling myself. And this was during COVID. This was during the time where I could have made buku money. But I wound up getting in the relationship, and the relationship opened up doors. So ultimately it paid for itself. But at the same time, it showed me a blind spot within my business that I needed to tighten up on. And I'm just going to throw one more out there. Number 7. Let's just call this a bonus lightning round. Let's get into it because we're rolling. Your health routine is critical. I myself have been on this walk for a while, getting in shape, getting out of shape, having a baby, getting off track, trying to find your wheels in this whole process. In walks, you're going to have stressful days. You're going to have days where you're not making the money you want to make. Then you're going to have days where you made so much money in that month that you can probably pay your bills for the next 3 months or a whole year. This is the place where we're at. When you're someone that you work for other people, you have to be right every single day. When you work for yourself, you have to be right once. It only takes an entrepreneur to be right once, and he can change the whole trajectory of his family just by simply being right, or her. So like taking those walks, reflecting, you might find time in that walk where you can probably drop you a video, make you some content, reflect on what you're experiencing in your business. How can you improve in your business? Look internally at your problems. Don't look externally.